Good afternoon, students. In yesterday's lecture, we have gone through the entity relationship model, its symbol. As I told you that software development life cycles are having various phases like system analysis, design, coding, and testing. So whenever we are making any system, I have taken example last time, it is of library management system. So what we have to do, the first step is requirement gathering. We are collecting requirement from everybody. We are asking librarians, students, staff, what exactly they want. According to that, the diagrams will going to be ready. Like for our home construction, our father will collect requirements, then he will make a blueprint with the help of system analyst or system architecture, and from blueprint the actual construction will going to start. Same here, using various diagrams like class diagram, state, sequence, data flow diagram, this kind of database UML diagram, entity relationship diagram. You have to make the relationship between the entities, means the people, means the object, the things which are involved in your system, and how they are connected with each other. Last time I told you to remember these four symbols using which you can draw your basic ER diagram, right? And many of you have sent me also, and you have done really very nice job. Now I'm going to start a types of, we can say, a relationship and a types of attribute. There is a double rectangle which is known as a weak entity. Weak entity means the entity which doesn't have its own existence, the entity which depends on the other entity. Suppose I have to take a loan. In that case, loan is the entity which doesn't have its own existence. Loan entity is depend on any person who is having account in a particular bank. That account holder can send a loan request and he will going to get a loan. So loan is a weak entity. Like shopping. Shopping is a weak entity. For doing any kind of shopping, you need a one client, or we can say one customer who can do the shopping. So the entity which doesn't have own existence, that entity is known as a weak entity. And it is denoted by double rectangle. This is the attribute which is called composite attribute. If I'm asking you in exam, list out the attribute or types of attribute. In that case, you have to explain composite attribute, multi-valued attribute, derived attribute, and key attribute. Composite attribute means the attribute which consists of more than one attribute or which is having subparts. For example, if I'm taking attribute name, then we can say name is having first name is having middle name is having last name. So this attribute consists of three subparts. Next is multi-valued attribute, the attribute which is having more than one value. For example, mobile number. A student can have more than one mobile number. So it is multi-valued attribute. Derived attribute means the data you can derive from any other known facts. For example, suppose I want to derive the age of a student. In that case, if I know today's date, current date, and if I know his birth date, and I'm going to subtract it from the current date. Suppose 2000 is the, we can say 2020 is the current year, right? And his birth year is, we can say 2001. So you can easily derive the age of that particular person. So this is the derived attribute. And the key attribute which is having unique, not null value, which cannot be duplicate and which cannot be null. For student, this is student enrollment number. For employee, it is employee ID. For, we can say, book, it is book ISBN number, which can never be null. Null means nothing. Zero can't consider as a null. Zero is one value, so you cannot say that zero is a null, right? So the attribute which is having primary value, worldwide unique value. There are no student in Indus University who are having same enrollment number, because your enrollment number consists of the current year, your branch, and your number, right? So in which year you are going to enroll, in 14th batch, in 15th batch, in 2020 batch. So we can say this is the unique number for you. Country is having its own country code, worldwide unique. For example, India is having 91, right? City is having pin code. So these are the unique value. Along with this four attribute, this four symbol, you have to remember one more symbol, and this is the key attribute, right? So this will going to help you in drawing your ER diagram. You can see here, ID is the unique number, library user is having library card number, book is having book ID. So these are the unique values, which are the key value, and you have to draw the underline. The next is cardinality. Cardinality means a degree of relationship, or you can say types of relationship, which is having four types: one to one, one to many to one, and many to many. So these are the four type of relationship. The symbols are vary from we can say diagram to diagram, but we have to remember this notation for the relationship. So there are various examples for one-to-one relationship. We can see that one country is having one capital city. One department is having one head of the department. So you can see here both the side I have written one, right? The next is one to many. So one student can attend many lectures. One student can use many books. One university is having many faculties. One department is having, we can say, many employees. You can write down here M, one to many. Many to one relationship, many employees are works for one department, right? For example, many faculties works for CE department. Many to many books can issued by many students. You can write down many to many here. Many book can be issued by many students. So these are the relationship. Now participation constraint. You should aware of this. If you are not comfortable with this participation constraint, there is no need to draw into the ER diagram, right? Total participation and partial participation. It is having two types. Total means that particular thing is compulsory or required. For example, for managing department, you need a manager. For managing computer department, you need a head of the department. For managing college, you need a principal. For managing university, you need a registrar. So these are the, we can say, total participation shown by the double line. Partial participation means that person is involved or not involved. It is not compulsory that that particular person has to involve. For example, doctor can be a PhD holder, doctor can be a professor, doctor can diagnose his patient or not diagnose his patient. So this is the patient can be a having its partial participation. Next is EER diagram. It is extended version or extension of original ER diagram. It is going to include subclass, superclass, specialization, generalization, union, aggregation, right? See here, a parent class is a superclass, and the feature of parent class can be inherited by the child class. Animals baby will look like animal. The baby of bird will look like baby. Baby of human looks like human being. Why? Because they are inheriting their features from the parents. Animals are having four legs, birds are having wings. So subclass can inherit the features from the superclass, and it is known as a inheritance. You can see here there are shape. Shape consists of, or we can say square, circle, and triangle belongs to superclass shape. So they all are having color. They all are having feeling property. They are having we can say orientation. They are having particular size. So these are the shape class attribute which is going to inherited by all the subclass. The next is generalization. Finish करा दें तो मैं बतू लगे. Generalization is a, we can say, part of that inheritance, and it is bottom up approach. You can see here tiger, lion, and elephant is belongs to animal class. So you can say that Subclass are belong to category superclass animal. Next is specialization. Specialization is a top-down approach. Superclass can make a subclass. Employee can be a developer. Employee can be a tester. Employee can be a project manager, like this. Category union. Union means a combination of something. They all are belongs to one class. For example, if I'm having one car, so that particular owner of car can be a person. The owner of car can be a bank if that particular person has taken loan from the particular bank. That owner of car can be a company if company has gifted that car to for until that particular person is going to work with that company. The company is providing them, we can say, house and car. So that owner can be a company. So this is the union. Car owner can be a person, car owner can be a bank, car owner can be a company. Aggregation means you are combining some part and making one object. For example, if I can take the example of computer, then keyboard, mouse, CPU, they all are combining one class, computer, personal computer. So here you can consider that if being a student, I want to inquire about the course or college, then first I will find out if I want to take admission in CE. So I want to inquire that particular college is having CE course or not, right? So this inquiry can be done together. So this is considered as a one entity. It will look like this entity, and then there is a relationship between these two entities, right? So this is considered as a whole entity. This is the aggregation consists of, right? College offers courses, that is one entity, and student inquire about this entity. So this is called aggregation. Next topic is data independence. Data independence means what? Data are known as a, we can say independently data you can change. We are having three layers architecture. There are logical data independence and physical data independence. Logical data independence means as a user, suppose I'm using it ATM, and where I'm going in that cubic, there are more than two ATMs, means there are three ATMs and three different users are filing their query. Somebody wants to know their balance, somebody wants to withdraw money, the other person wants to also withdraw the money. Suppose I am withdrawing 5,000, one particular person is withdrawing 2,000 from his account, third person wants to generate a receipt or a bank account statement of last week. So we all three are independently doing our work without affecting anybody, even though our account is in same bank, even though we are using at same time. So this kind of independence is known as the logical data independence. The next is physical data independence. If I'm storing my data in any other hard disk, if I'm copying my data in any other CD drive, or we can say pen drive, that is not going to affect to the logical design of any database or any schema, right? I can insert my ATM anywhere physically, then it is not going to affect software. The next is external and conceptual mapping, and conceptual and internal mapping. I told you architecture is having three layers. Here you can see external, conceptual and internal. Physical layer में internal layer भी कहवाए, right? So there are the mapping between this two is conceptual internal mapping, and this two is external conceptual mapping. If user is firing any query, for example, I'm firing one query to withdraw 5,000 from my account. This query is going to map to my account only. It is not going to map to everyone's account. So there is a mapping between these two layers, and accordingly, this is going to change into the database. If some question will come here between the conceptual and physical level, so it is going to map with that particular. For example, suppose I want to replicate the account information of some of the employee. I want to store into different hard disk or different CD drive or pen drive. Then it is going to map with that particular data only. It is not going to map with all the data. So there are conceptual internal mapping and external conceptual mapping in between occurs in architecture. Okay. The questions which I can ask in exam from this unit are definition of data, database and database management system, and data redundancy. Then the next question is purpose and application of DBMS. You can write down any application in banking, ERP, library, you can use DBMS. Third and fourth question, answer of third and fourth question will remain the same. Advantage of DBMS and disadvantage of file management system. The next is users of DBMS means casual user, naive user, application programmer. Three-layer architecture are having layer internal, external, conceptual. Data independence, we have gone through physical and logical data independence. Mapping cardinalities are one to one, one to many, many to one, and one to one. Types of attributes are composite, derived, simple, and key attribute. Specialization, generalization, aggregation, we have seen in previous slide. You can see here. This is aggregation, this is specialization, and this is generalization. You can explain it with the example. Next is diagram. Many of you have already sent me diagram of Indus University, hospital management, then banking system, school management system, library management system, right? So next is constraint. That is still I have not told you exactly types of constraint that we will see in next lecture. Symbols, you know how to draw, you just go through the symbols. Key attribute means the primary key attribute. Now I'm going to end today's lecture. If you are having any query, you can WhatsApp me, or you can try for now EER diagram. If possible, you can add some generalization, specialization if you are comfortable. If you are not comfortable, then it is okay. You can draw simple diagram, no issue. If anything is remaining from this, you can draw and send me.